Okay, I want to take you into a little trip into reality. This is Roger, Mudfossil University, and this is a petrified giant from the past. Now see the blood leaking out? See this exact architecture here? Look very closely at that from his knee coming down. And the architecture of his shoulder and so forth, the muscle patterns and this particular architecture here. Now let's look at something else. Alright, if you can't see the exact same thing here, I don't know what to say. And if you think they went into that kind of detail, I have nothing to say at all. Alright, I went through the video that I was just going to post, and I decided I better show the dragon. I wasn't going to show it, I was going to tell you to go see it, but this is the dragon. Now, this is his head right here. It comes down, this is his legs. His body comes down here, and this is his tail. Now, I'm going to show you so that you will have no question in your mind. This is the dragon. All right? This is his head right there. Okay? That's that funny little nose they have, his flary eye. It comes down, and this is his throat that comes down. There's that little flashy stuff that they have on the side of him. Now, I'm just going to come in quickly and show you that it's all completely scaled with dragon scales. The entire length of his body here is dragon scales because he is a dragon. Alright, so it goes down and 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 down. So I'm not going to bother because it goes forever. So here we were back at his head. Okay, follow it down. Here he goes down through his stomach. Let's back out of here. This is all his innards. There's his legs. There's his back, and all the way out to his tail, flashes way over to here. So let's just go way over to here. Okay, that's his tail, and here is his tail again. There's the dragon scaled tail. Alright, now the thing to take away is that this is the runoff, and it is bordered here because he has not been here long. This is the effluent that drains off a dead body, and I will show you that that is consistent through his entire body. Now, it said that was a red dragon, and that looks pretty red to me. Now, up here, you can see at his throat is the same runoff. This is the same sort of runoff. Red and black is everybody in the mud fossils knows red is the arterial and black is the vein blood. That's just what it works. One has oxygen, one doesn't. Now, so here we go up to his head. Now look at this. This is his head, and there's that funny nose, and then he's spitting something out of his throat here. And let's go see what that is. And he's spitting it on a giant fish. All right, so let's look at the giant fish first, which is right here. Alright, that's his fin. Alright. These are his scales. You see it? Now, here's the dragon up here spitting this stuff out, and it hits up on his fin, and then it comes down here and rots the flesh of the fish's body. That has been spit from that dragon, and I will show you, because I can prove this. Let's follow it back. It comes from his body of rotting flesh up to where it came in from the dragon's dragon mouth, and it came in here, and it is this stuff here. Now let's look at this carefully because it's nasty stuff. Oh, the whole area here, look. Now what that is, I cannot tell you, but I would not want to have it on me. And I think he's spitting that out at him. Now, why is this important? Well, it's kind of important for reality that this actually happened, first of all. But secondly, that dragon has to protect his throat somehow from these kind of caustic materials. So how would he do that? Let's see if we can figure that out. Now, I have been working on the dragon in the desert in Morocco for years now and been showing it over and over and over, and nobody seems to pay any attention. I have no clue why. But it's obviously, no question whatsoever, it is a dragon, and you're going to have to go see it on my site. I'm not going to bother showing it again. But why am I talking about it now? It's because of this blue mineral that they found, and this is just absolutely unbelievable. And I will show the dragon later in this, just because if you haven't seen it, you just can't believe it. But anyway, this an archaeologist named Angelo Pittoni went out to Sierra Leone to look into some diamonds, and he finds this blue stone. All right, and he doesn't have any clue about it. So he's looking, here it is. He found a blue stone with mysterious white lines on its surface. He had no clue what it was. So he goes to the chief of the tribes around here. And the tribal chief told Pittoni an ancient legend which, according to them, explains why the area was so rich in diamonds. And it explains every single thing that I have been talking about. Every single thing is explained right here in the next 2 paragraphs or so. Now, here's what we got. That's the stone. The chief, Fula, deeply embedded in the teachings of the Quran, like that's a big deal. It has nothing to do with this. He's telling about an ancient legend, told Pittoni how in the midst of time. Now that means that it wasn't in the beginning of time, it wasn't at our time, it was in the middle of time. All right, in the midst of time. God found that among his angels there was a revolt. So there were 600 angels. 2 of them revolted. That would have been in the midst of time. And it was about to break out. Well, he didn't get him in time, apparently. So there's a little discrepancy here. The angels were expelled to earth, where they became statues. All right, you just saw what I just showed you, statues. And there is a ton of them. There's not just one, there is a ton of them. But these did not arrive to earth alone. According to legend, a great portion of the sky and stars fell with the angels on earth. In the eyes of the natives, this explains why the region is rich in so many minerals and diamonds. That was the dragon. That was the dragon that fell. Because that stone is in the only other place that they have found this, that they talk about anyway, is where this woman, Ann Grayson, who I tried to contact not long time ago, but a while back. I tried to contact her. I never heard anything from her. About the reason, because she's in there working on some mining company on the dragon in Morocco. And I sent her, I said, I know about this thing. I've been studying it. I'd like to talk to you about it. I never heard anything. But she had one of these blue stones found 20 years ago. So she takes it to this artifact place in Utrecht. So she took it to the University of Utrecht, and they underwent tests with it, and they did all these things to it. Now listen to this. They put acids on it, and no acid would damage it. No acids could damage it, would not modify the stone. That would be what it would need it to be done in a dragon's throat, or dragon, wherever they shoot that stuff out of. I mean, it's just going to have to, because it would rot anything else. You're going to have something like they use ceramic tips in welders and things like that. You have to have something that will not react to the thing that you're spitting on the other thing, which is acid. There's something they're spitting out, something that burns up or turns flesh into gush, which I showed the fish being turned into gush from it. So it's some serious stuff. Additionally, look, the same blue stone, you could heat it to 3,000 degrees Celsius and the composite wasn't even altered. It's like indestructible. And then they break it into little pieces, and it said it was interesting because it would lose its color, but that's fully understandable because it's a polarity. When it's in one big piece, it has polarization. When it's broken into little fractures, you see all the different polarities, and it just turns into nothing. It turns into all different colors, and they turn into one different nothingness color. When they're all polarized, you get this blue color. Now listen to this. This is what kills me. This is so funny. Listen. This goes on about the case of masquerading true blue mineral. It says here now, if you bought a hunk of blue rock at a souvenir shop, took it home, rigorously studied, and found no mention of it in most well-known encyclopedias, you'd announce your find to the world. You'd tout your discovery like it was gold. That's just what a sharp young British geologist named Anna Grayson did. The blue rock she discovered, the size of a brick and the weight of a kitten, appeared to be an entirely new mineral, one of the basic materials that makes up Earth. Eureka, she exclaimed. Everybody should be, but Watch what happens. But sometimes good science works in strange ways. Now armed with the results of dozens of tests conducted with the latest high-tech instruments, scientists have a different angle on the mysterious blue stone. Now listen here. Minerals exactly like it have been seen before as far back as the late 1800s. But back then most people thought the minerals were fake. No one paid attention to the vivid blue stone until now. And they actually told them to go take them off the shelves and throw them away. They're just fakes. And they did. The same thing like they did with all the Paracas skulls until just recently when Brian Forrester looked into them. Alright, so the mineral mystery. The twisted tale goes on like this. 15 years ago, Grayson, who I did try to contact, nabbed a blue stone at a roadside rock shop in Morocco where the dragon is. She was drawn to the magnificent color, but she knew it was misidentified. The label said it was lapis lazuli, a blue stone used to make jewelry, and she realized it was not because she had familiarity with the names of these things, but what they were in reality, she apparently does not. It was clear to me that this wasn't lapis, Grayson said. It was the wrong hardness, the wrong texture. Lapis always has flecks of fool's gold, and this didn't. And the fool's gold, well, I'll talk about that later. Anyway, Grayson brought the exotic specimen home to London, hoping to identify it. For years, she touted her rock to university labs. Look at this, nobody cared. Scientists scratched the sample, then scratched their heads. No one could tell her what it was. Some scientists even suspected Grayson had dyed the rock. All right. So now, last spring, Grayson stopped by London's Natural History Museum. Mineralogy named Gordon Cressy agreed to run the rock through a battery test to determine what the mineral was and so forth. Now, testing. Now, to identify the rock as a mineral, Cressy had to prove the specimen was naturally occurring, inorganic, which was non-living, and a solid with a distinct chemical composition and crystal structure. So, he did all these things, and I'm going to cut to the chase. Hold on. All right, they ran it through every kind of test, and it proved out to be just exactly what she was saying. And, you know, they did all the chemistry on it and what it consisted of. Now, it comes down to this, that, you know, as they say, happily ever after. In other words, it's true, and she's not a fraud, and this is something that they now are going to look into a little deeper, it appears. We'll see. Now, it says, but the fairy tale doesn't end there. It turns out that Grayson and Cressy did discover something new after all, something unique about aeronite structure. They're calling it aeronite. Because they use very sophisticated modern equipment, scientists got a much more detailed view of aeronite structure than anyone had before. They found aeronite's crystals are composed of millions of fibers packed together like bundles of drinking straws. Now, let me show you what that means, but I will do that in a moment. What that actually consists of. So in other words, they say the moral of the story is look for things. Don't give up on things. And then they don't look. Nobody contacted me back about anything that I've ever tried to present. And I sent pictures to all of them and things like that. Not a word back. But that's just the way life goes. Now let me show you what those bundles of drinking straws are. Now you see these are the bundles of drinking straws. These are tendon fibrils, and they go down to just so tiny, and they're made out of collagen, and they bend and they twist and everything, but they are strong as hell, and they're made out of CaCO3, calcium carbonates, and other minerals and things that go along with it, and they come from the tendon all the way down into a million zillion little fibers. That is what they're seeing. And that is also what makes up jade and all kinds of things. Now, what causes the blue color and what causes the ability to resist any kind of acids, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I looked at the chemistry, and it's mostly oxygen. It's like 70-something% oxygen, which you and I are 65% oxygen, you know. Oxygen is everywhere. I mean, it's just, it's everywhere, and it transfers things. It's a very simple molecule that works with other things. Anyway, so it's a life. And all the other molecules of life are there in the similar, correct proportions. Because some of it's going to give off, some of it's going to add when you die and when it solidifies. Now, what kind of conditions it was in and what kind of a body created the chemistry to do that, I cannot tell you. But it is obviously a dragon, because it was found in Sierra Leone only, and in this dragon thing where Anne Grayson found it up in Morocco. And both of those have, and the tale about the people falling from the sky turn into stone as statues, it just absolutely blows my mind. And when you read Revelations 12, which we're going to do right now, that should blow your mind. Before we leave here, apparently there's something in the dragon throat or wherever the tube is that sends out that stuff that is a fibrous tube that is using these kind of fibers. And that's what's, because that's just the way it works. Okay, this is Revelations 12. And there appeared a great wonder in the heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. She, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pained to be delivered. There appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. I know where a great red dragon is. There are some other heads and things on him, we have found. This may not be the dragon, but it may be. Now listen to this, and remember what the chief said. His tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven. That's the 200 watchers, the 200 angels out of the 600. 1/3 of the stars. Exactly what the chief said. And did cast them to the earth, where they became statues, the chief said. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. He's going to eat the baby from the woman on the moon giving birth, a gigantic woman on the moon giving birth. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. She's given birth. The dragon's there trying to eat the baby. God swoops in, takes him to his throne, where this child will rule with a rod of iron. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, and they should feed her there 1,260 days. Now, I can't understand that passage, but apparently they saved her and took care of her for 3.5 years. Now, there was a war in heaven. Now listen to this. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought back with his angels. And he prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven, which means the dragon. And a great dragon was cast out, and that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. So that's the dragon, which is the serpent, which is the devil, which is Satan. He deceiveth the whole world. He's trying to get what he wants by deceiving people. Apparently, that's what it says. He was cast out into the earth. And we see a dragon there. And that dragon has not been there long. I study decomposition very, very seriously, and that dragon has not been there long whatsoever. And his angels were cast out with him as statues, apparently. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and the strength and the kingdom of God and the power of Christ. And that apparently is when that happened, and apparently God is, and Christ is the one with the rod of iron, it appears to me. He came back to rule nicely. It did not work. I believe this time it's going to be the rod of iron. All right? And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. In other words, if you don't follow God and Jesus, well, Christ, you're in trouble. The way it looks to me. That's my point. You can take it any way you want, but that's how I'm handling it. And anybody that well, I can't influence anybody. I can't influence anybody. But anybody doesn't pay attention and says, "Oh, that's all silly. I'm not going to look at this. The guy's a nutcase." Well, I can't help you. I have nothing to say. But it's certainly what it looks like to me.